Hello.
Any questions?
Mr. Peters, could you come slightly close to the microphones, please? Thank you very much, sir.
Anything else?
How'd you sleep?
Like everybody sleeps. I hope that's not the depth of the question I'm going to get today.
What do you make?
Can I just say, nobody quite knows what the result last night means. We've got to wait for some time because the special votes are about, I think, 315,000 still to go. So things will change marginally, and in the meantime, we've just got to wait and see what that means and talk to my colleagues over the next few days, and then we'll tell you what we're going to be prepared to do.
Have you got any expectations for that last 15% of the vote?
Yes, I have.
Can
Have you
share
made
them
any
with
phone calls this morning or last night to
Apart from calling you
other
up-
political?
Apart from calling up Lord to see how you were, no, I didn't make any other phone calls.
Have you received any calls?
No.
What are you going to say to Bill English if you get a call from him today?
Well, why don't I confront that when the time comes?
What sort of a time frame do you expect those calls, given your past experience? Would you expect Bill English or Jacinda Ardern to be calling you today?
Look, let's stop the mirage and the facade here. We all know what has to happen, okay? So all this talk about making phone calls and talking to you people about what I'm going to do next will not be happening from New Zealand First point of view. We know what we're going to do responsibly. We're going to talk as a political party and as a caucus and as a board, and when we've made our decision, we'll then start talking to other people about what we might do.
What are your thoughts about Labour taking out all the Māori seats last night?
Well, it took them a very long time because the last time anybody took out all the Maori seats was 1996. So it took them one hell of a time to get them all back, didn't it?
Do you want to take them away for good now? Will that be one of your policies?
Look, the reality is that I never was getting rid of the Maori seats. I was giving you a referendum.
You've known Te Ora.
Knows the difference?
Yeah.
I was giving you a referendum, but you all painted us as getting rid of the Maori seats. Why can't you people actually understand English?
You've known Te Ora
Do you still
Flavel
want
for
a
a long
referendum?
time, Mr. Peters.
Eh?
You've known Te Ora Flavel for a long time. He's been on television this morning, very, very emotional about his career being over in Parliament. Do you feel for him in this situation?
Yeah, I do actually, because I tell you what, Te Ora Flavel is a marvellous New Zealander. He's your classic kind of person you need in this country, a millionfold. But I think some of his political ideas were mistaken. But I never thought that made him anything but what he was when I was a young person. I knew him very well. I played rugby with him, and he's a standout New Zealander. But sadly, as I say, his politics was the kind of politics from the Sociology Department of University of Auckland.
Do you think this is the
And
end
it's
for the Māori
it's
vote?
actually trash for Maori. It won't help Maori, and that's why in the end it went down.
Do you think this is the end for the Māori Party?
Well, I don't think it. I'm the one that was on TV a week ago saying it, being criticised by all of sundry about that. But I did think it was in the Māori Party last week.
These special votes don't look to have changed, don't look like they'll change Northland. What can you say about what's happened in Northland?
Well, look, I gave it my best shot. It's a terrible shame, I think, in a way, because we asked Northland to take hold of New Zealand political attention and give them some service for all those years of being loyal to the National Party. So they made a decision. I can't change that. I was very privileged for a brief time to be their MP, but now I've got more time to be an MP around the country.
And what expectations do you have of behaviour from the other political party leaders over the next few days and weeks?
Well, I can best judge that on the way they behaved in this campaign. Right?
Which is
Would that be a pretty good guide?
Well, how would that be?
Well, you work it out. You know what happened in this campaign. I know what you guys did in this campaign. You ran a first-past-the-post campaign in an MMP environment, and things suffered for that. And I'm just grateful that we survived it. I always knew this was going to be one crap campaign the way things were shaping up.
That's a bit unfair though. We followed you around, we came to your events, we did
Oh,
stories on you.
for God's sake, Lord, I took a bus 5,500 kilometres around the country
You
in
did
the,
that.
in the middle of winter, and I never saw you once, so please don't talk that sort of
That's
drivel to
before
me.
the campaign.
No,
Before the
excuse
campaign
me,
began.
that was the campaign, Lloyd. You might not have thought there was a campaign on, but there was.
We all had jobs at Parliament because Parliament was still sitting.
No, you spent all your time sucking up to the two old parties, and tonight, this afternoon, they'll make a decision, and tomorrow they'll be trying to make a decision, but they won't have the cards that matter. Lloyd, get it right for the umpteenth time. This is an MMP environment, And the two old parties do not have the answer to this country's future.
Mr.
In the
Peters,
last 20
those
somethings
calls.
in the MMP, there's only 5 parties that have made it this year. Do you think MMP is still working?
Well, it's working now, yeah.
Dave-
But it took a campaign to get rid of a whole lot of puppets and prop-ups and what I would call corrupt arrangements. And the Maori Party was being propped up by the National Party, so is the United Party. And there's an ACT Party there on $750,000 a year, the most expensive beneficiary in the whole country, propped up by you guys. And out here's a real party called New Zealand First, and we survived.
Well, if you want, you can keep ACT out.
David Seymour says he'd rather be in opposition than in a coalition that...
Oh, the other day he said he's going to take one for the team. Take one for the team. He's only one. He's taking one for the team. What team would that be? Why don't you guys stop running crap and start running reality?
Hey,
Those
Māori
calls
voters,
that
Māori
you need to
voters.
make,
Hey?
those calls that you need to make to your caucus and to the board, etc. Are you going to actually meet up with your party, or what's your plan? Are you going to do that from Whananeki, or what?
Well, there's a thing that we call Skype. You can actually all meet all together. I know it's a bit hard for you guys to understand the modernity of modern politics, but the reality is we can have those meetings within 5 minutes anytime we like.
Māori voters want you to make the right choice according to our Te Kaia live feed here. What do you have to say to them?
Well, the great thing about the Maori voters is that out there, even though we don't stand the Maori seats, we did very well, percentage-wise. And if the whole country would have gone with the Maori people, then we'd have had a whole lot more votes, right? But that's life. That's life.
You still believe you'd be able to serve Maori better than the Labour Party?
Well, I already have. Right?
How?
Eh?
How?
Well, how many things do you want me to tell you about?
You can list them. Go.
Well, Kainga Real. Okay.
Bill English has come up.
No, Kainga Real. The biggest intake ever in Maori tertiary education. All right, Manakatoi program. Then look at Hikurangi. Look at the $92 million we got back in Tauranga when they were being robbed blind by Treasury. And I threatened the Minister of Finance then, whose name was Winston, that either she paid up or I'll take her to court. I've been to the wall for things that are right, but I don't go to the wall for racist things. That's the difference between New Zealand First and every other party.
Now water. Let's talk water.
Yeah, well, let's talk water. Every Maori knows that water is a gift from God.
They also say that they have ownership rights over it. What do you have to say to them?
Well, what I have to say with that in this campaign, we failed was that the National Party goes along with that whilst telling everybody else nobody's got any ownership right over water. The Maori Party said nobody owns water, while back women dealing with the Maori interests in this country because of the Maori Party. The Maori Party's gone, and what's left now? Racist, divisive policies, and my job is to stop that. No Maori's going to be advanced by this.
How are you going to do that?
Well, I'm doing that because the reason why I'm standing right here with all you journalists talking to me. If I hadn't have been in this situation, they would have carried on doing what they were going to do. This is all stopping now.
What about marine or coastal claims? Got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. There's
What
no
are they?
Maori I know in classic sense who thinks that place out there belongs to them. That's a highway and has been for thousands of years in Polynesia. And I'm not going to have people ramming down their new Treaty of Waitangi principle issues on a matter like that there. All around Polynesia, we know that's a highway. You go past there, you won't be attacked. You come onto the land, you will be. We all know that. So let's have into that sort of talk. Next question.
James Shaw sounds rather keener on you today than he did last week. How are you feeling about
I'm
him?
not here to talk about James Shaw and any other person. And I'm here to talk about a party called New Zealand First. Can you forgive me for sort of thing that we should be focused on what we stand for? Not some other party for the umpteenth time in this campaign.
Talking about your party, Mr. Peters, and negotiations, what are the big things for you? What are you going to go to the negotiating table not prepared to give up in terms of your policies?
Well, it'd be very foolish to tell you, wouldn't it?
You could, though.
If I'm going to the negotiating table to talk about things, why would I tell you?
Well, what?
No.
You just asked us to talk about your party, and now you don't want to talk about it.
Well, my party is not a negotiating strategy. For God's sake, Lord. Well, Lloyd, where did you get your education?
Te Puna School, Tauranga Boys College.
Just coming back to New Zealand First, Mr. Peters. In terms,
Which class were you in? Oh, the Woodburn class or what?
3 years,
Mr. Peters.
Sorry.
The way
Mr.
things
Peters.
go-
No,
the
look,
way-
one at a time.
In terms of your policies, what is non-negotiable when you go into to have these conversations?
Look, you're
What is
going-
important
look.
to you?
Think about it. Say you were in our situation. Why would you say that? Now,
Well, most parties have particular
no,
priorities.
negotiating is about getting all you possibly can get for the people that voted for you. And that means that you've got to be smart and clever and determined and resolute. And the last thing you do is start playing your cards before you get to the table.
I guess what are
Do
you
you want
willing to
Deputy Prime-
compromise?
Eh?
What are you willing to compromise then?
Well, I would answer that question.
Do you want
If
Deputy,
I told you, that's the first thing to be compromised, and a whole lot more as well.
do you want Deputy Prime Minister?
Been there and done that, right?
Do you want
Well,
it this
no.
time round?
I said I've been there and done that.
Do you think the
That
racing industry needs you
I'm
back?
somebody that twice left being a minister because of matter of principle, despite what you people say. I know you wouldn't know what that means, but I do. Okay?
Do you think the racing industry needs you back?
Eh?
But do you think the racing industry needs you back?
Well, yeah, and the elderly people, and the economy, and a whole lot of other things. And the foreign minister needs me back because they've been lousily treated in recent time. In fact, they've been reduced to telling lies about legal cases and what have you. It's been a disaster. So thank you very much for reminding me of what the prospect.
Labour,
What's the prospect?
the way things are, Labour Party and you have a common ground with. Yours was older though with the immigration policy. National, however, this time around.
Sorry, Labour's got common ground with me in immigration policy? No, they haven't. Please don't say that there. I mean, the reality
I did say yours was before. Yours was always.
No. I'm talking about a focused, planned immigration policy, which every first world economy has. They're talking about mass immigration, the demands of which would not even get 5 out of 7 people getting off at the Mangere airport a house. And yet we went through this campaign while you let them get away with it. Don't you get it?
I do.
You,
Now,
despite all the demands in this country for 40, 50,000 homeless people, they weren't prepared to cut their programs so they could house the people getting off at the airport. And so we finished off a campaign after 9 months, and nobody's any wiser. Isn't that rather sad?
But what did you make of the way the votes fell last night? Continued strong support.
I didn't
for
make
National.
much of it, actually, to tell you from my personal view, the way the votes fell.
Were you
We
surprised
didn't do
to
as
see-
good as I thought we should have done, but that's what that's like.
How do you think?
We did better than actually I predicted we would do.
Are you disappointed about Northland though and them going back to national like they have?
Look, remember this. In the end, the voters are masters. No use criticising the voters. If that's their estimation, that's their judgment, I'll live with it.
Why
It's-
do you
it's
think
a
they
national's
made that
been-
judgment, though?
Eh?
Why do you think they made that judgment? What do you think?
Well,
the
that's
basis
78
was?
years of habitual behaviour.
Well,
you said it's been.
It's like the Frank Sinatra song. You remember me saying I've been down so long it looks like up to me? And they think they're up, but they're not. In every other respect, they're in the top half of the export wealth creating provinces in this country and the bottom of everything else. And today they're going to have to make their minds up as to why they would go down that path one more time.
You did say was it?
But I've got no complaints about it. I was privileged to be the MP, albeit for 2.5 years, and to win an impossible by-election. But the Labour Party and the Greens all lined up and didn't realise it's a two-horse race, and so we lost.
Is Northland better off for having had you?
King, the new Northland MP.
I'll leave it to you guys.
Is Northland better off having had you for those 2.5 years?
Well, I could answer your question, but I'm not going to do that.
Are you going to base yourself in Northland still?
Well, I live here now.
You said it was one of the toughest campaigns. What would you change if you were to
Well, we
revisit?
couldn't change the campaign because I have to tell you, the media were obsessed with running a first-past-the-post campaign 21 years after MMP came in. And they're still doing it. They've never actually adapted. Other countries have, but they still haven't adapted. Right now, you're asking me about how quick it will be to form the next government. In other countries, they take 3 months, 6 months. Nobody finds that terribly different. But over here, the obsession with the first-past-the-post environment knows no bounds. And a lot of parties will have realised that this morning. We're just lucky to have survived it.
John Key said this morning that he's confident that she'll go for the larger party. What do you have to say about John Key's view on things?
I think John should keep on playing golf with Obama
Willie Jackson says
and
that
selling the country out at the same time.
Willie Jackson says he knows you well and he's got no doubt you'll go with Labor though. Is he right?
Excuse me, why is that question relevant right now? Come on, you're a smart girl. You know what's going on in life. You're a smart woman. Why would you ask me
3
that question?
million voters asking the same thing.
No, you're asking, but nobody else is.
That's just because Willie Jackson says it, and Willie Jackson claims that he knows Winston well.
No, are you interpreting for her, eh?
I'm trying to.
All right, any other questions?
What are your thoughts
You got a
about
question,
Shane
madam?
Jones?
No, I just want to say congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Your thoughts about Shane Jones going
That's
back
the
into
smartest thing I've
Parliament?
heard all morning.
Sorry, Winston, your thoughts about Shane Jones going back with you into Parliament?
What do you mean, my thoughts? You know what my thoughts were at the moment we picked Shane Jones to stand for us. Why would it be new today? What I did know was he was going to be back in Parliament, and he's a talented, skilled person. And Māori means far more of that, and so does this country.
Are you disappointed he didn't eat into the other Shane's vote a bit more?
Well, he did actually. He's in Parliament, isn't he?
Well, not because he won a seat.
Well, we can't all win a seat, right? Not even Winston Peters can win a seat. In this election. You got that part right, Joe? What's wrong with you?
Mr. Peters, how long are you going to hold the country to ransom for?
Now, how long are you going to be standing around asking me these silly questions before I pick you up and throw you in that water over there, okay? You got that, Lloyd?
How many of your
Try? No, I wouldn't be trying, I'd be doing it, mate.
How many of your siblings were here last night?
You might be a
supporting
heavy boy, but I've dealt with heavy people like you a long time, right?
And it's a serious question. How long? What's the time frame you've
No,
given yourself?
I wouldn't say that. Look, it's not very far from that high water mark there. Yeah.
Mr. Peters, on a family note, how many of your siblings were here last night?
6 of them. That's great.
Was.
But there's 11 of us, right?
Yes.
I'm number 6 of 11. So it's lovely to see my family here. And a whole lot of other people who, both on my Scottish side and on my side were around. So it was very great.
You've talked in the past, Mr. Peters, about the baubles of office not holding an appeal for you. Is that something worth restating this time around?
Let me tell you, Mr. Fisher, I'm a person that walked out twice from ministerial positions and taken the second most important position in this country on a matter of principle. Don't you talk to me about the baubles of office. Your paper might represent the corrupt nature that gives you the baubles of a job or occupation. I've got a record to prove otherwise. Please don't ask me this sort of questions.
Do you think Bill English is a good leader?
Leader of what? Excuse me?
Leader of the National
Look,
Party. He's pulled through results as good as 2008, and he's the same guy who took it down to 22-something% years ago.
Look, I've seen people like Menzies in Australia, Hawke in Australia win 4 in a row without any difficulty whatsoever. Don't put up somebody that's inferior by comparison and say, is he a good leader? You've got to understand history.
So what are the values that are going to be driving you and your party during these negotiations? And what do you...
What are the values that be driving New Zealand first? Right. You've seen our 15 founding principles? Those are our values. They've never changed.
You said there was no fun in the campaign, Mr. Peters. Are you having fun now?
Yeah, actually, I am.
In that vein,
Actually,
Mr. Peters,
they should pay me. They should pay me for what I'm doing now, right now.
our
Talking to you
Facebook
guys.
viewers do think you should throw Lloyd in the water. Is that something you're going to have time to do before you move on to that?
Yeah, I think I will. I'll have an interview at the end of the pier with Lloyd, and while he's not looking, or being sort of absent-minded, or forgetting what's going on, looking the wrong way, I'll put him in the water.
I'll get you first, Mr. Peters. So what are your movements? What are your movements for the rest of the week?
Well, the difference is, if you did that to me, I could swim home. You might just need a lifeguard. Okay, next question.
I mean, that's a bit mean. You're a bit of a bully.
No, I'm not a bully. I'm just trying to tell you. Don't get caught out there without life. With
Oh, we had a swimming pool at Tupuna School. I don't swim. Anyway, can you tell us what will you be doing over the next few days? Are you going to Whananaki to kind of...
Actually, that's a private matter, actually. Do you mind? When do you guys get off asking questions like that?
When was the last time you were on your boat?
Eh?
When was the last time you were on your boat?
About 3 hours from now.
Do you think the weather's right now?
The weather's magnificent. Fantastic.
Low tide in 3 hours, isn't it? What do you like to do out on the sea?
Eh?
What is it that you like to do most out on the sea? Floundering, fishing, diving?
It's a freedom exercise. You're away from all the strains and stresses, sort of somewhat like now, and no one can get to you.
Until the media hire a boat.
And it's and it's peace and tranquility. You've got no idea how special that is.
When's that first discussion with the wider party going to take place? Is that something
It's already
today?
taking place as I speak. I'm talking to colleagues, mate, as I speak now.
You've got a new...
One by one. No, I mean by phone.
You can have a Skype conference at some point?
Yeah, when we've all worked out how we're going to do it.
You've got a new MP, based on the numbers.
I've got 3 new MPs, for goodness sake. Can't you add up?
No. Can't
Jeez.
swim, can't add up.
Unbelievable, eh?
Who
You've got all this trouble with the campaign, and you've raised money from poor people trying to help out, and you don't know that we've got 3 new MPs.
Who are the 3 new MPs, and why do they deserve to be in Parliament?
Jones, Markroft, and the man Mark Patterson from Southland. You got that part?
Have you had any conversations with Ria or Mahesh or Dennis or Richard?
No, I haven't had a chance to. Anybody else?
Yeah, they've
Peter
got a-
Peroni, that was the last one.
There's no person called Peter Peroni in New Zealand first. It's Peroni and it's Maori. That's English for the Maori word.
Have you got anything? What are you going to say to them when you do?
Well, it's okay. Look, I mean, we're going to be exact about this. It's important.
Do you think you've got good chances?
Well, that's a private matter as well.
Do you,
Is that it?
do you
I
think
think
do you think you've got good chances of becoming Prime Minister?
Who?
You.
Do you want me to be?
I'm asking you, do you
I'll try and
think...
make it happen. Sorry, I'm just joking.